Hello Stampers, this is Kate, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Washington State, here to bring you a couple of quick cards today that I hope you will enjoy. And let's get started. First of all, I'll put over for card number 1, I will put up this little sheet that tells you what I used to make it and the measurements. Like I said, these are quick cards, so there's not a lot of instructions there. I am using the Twigs and Sprigs Hybrid 3D, so it has this die and this embossing folder, and the die cuts out this, let me open it up so it's easier to see. Sometimes I have a hard time getting this one to come open. It's so tight together. There we go. Can you see the lovely design in that? Well, it embosses that, and then the die cuts all those shapes out. And I've been kind of playing with it, but I hadn't really made anything. And I wanted a simple card, and I wanted to use something new. So I used, wherever I put it, the embossing folder. Oh, here it is over here. The Cane Weave 3D embossing folder, which is new in the current mini catalog. That's good until June. What is today? Yeah, June. So there it is. That's what we're going to be using, and this is the card we're going to be making. It's going to be blank. I'm not going to put anything. I've had a lot of requests for blank cards this year, and so I thought, well, okay, we'll make some blank cards for those that like them. Obviously, it's very easy to add a sentiment at any point if you want to, and this one is so basic. Okay, what I did is I did emboss a piece of 5x6 basic white with the embossing folder, and I cut out all the shapes, and so you get quite a variety of shapes. And I made 2 cards. I think I cut it out twice so I'd have enough pieces, and I made 2 cards. So the base is your standard basic white thick. It is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. We'll burnish that edge. It's going to make a top fold greeting card, standard A2 size. Then I am going to emboss this piece with the embossing folder, and this piece is cut 4 by 5 1/4. And let's just emboss that real quick. I usually do this all ahead of time. Here's a little tip and trick. I'm always trying to share little tips with people. You know, after you've been stamping for 20 plus years as I have, you have a tendency to take certain things for granted and not realize that there's people out there new to Stampin' Up! Or new to stamping in general that might not know these little tips. On the Stampin' Up! Folders, there's a line right across the bottom. Can you see that? That's perfect for getting your piece in straight. Because then you can just line it up with that and close it up and run it through. And this runs through our Stampin' Cut emboss machine with just the base layer, which is number 1, and the gray layer here, which is number 4. That's all you need. And you're going to put it in your cut embossing machine with the fold at the end that goes in. That way, if there's any slack or anything, it doesn't bunch it up. It would roll it out and keep it even. I hope that makes sense. And so that's what we're doing. Run it through out here where you can't see. And here is our lovely embossed piece. Now, I'll have to confess, there is a right side and a wrong side. I believe that this is the right side and that this is the wrong side, but I'll be honest, if you wanted a different look, it would work just as well. But we're going to use this side, and it's just going to attach to the card front with Stampin' Seal. It's going to go on flat and leave an approximately 1/8 inch border. Running a piece through an embossing folder will typically change the dimensions slightly. So if you're concerned about your dimensions being exact, you would want to emboss first and then cut your piece out. So in other words, cut your piece the full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, emboss it, and then cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4, and then you would have your exact piece. So there's the third tip for today. Well, we're just on a roll. Okay, and then we're just going to attach that centered. Just like that. So there's that lovely cane weave. I'm going to really enjoy this. The next step is to cut 3 pieces, again, of basic white, and they are 1 3/8 inch wide by 3.5 inches long. And they are just going to go on here flat as well, across the front. It's going to leave an approximate 1/4 inch between each one. When I'm attaching things like this, I always start at one edge. I've already measured it all out, made sure it would fit appropriately, and so I know that it's going to be almost exactly correct. Almost exactly? Is that even an oxymoron? I think so. Anyway, my paper keeps moving. Sorry about that. So I'm going to do this 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. And I'm just getting that piece on there. And then I'm going to do this end next with the same. I do like to give tips and tricks when I make videos so that it's not just about making the cards. I know that so many of you already know all about that. So here I'm doing this 1/4 inch, and I'm just using the cane weave as a way to keep my pieces straight, and it's working perfectly. And then I will attach the middle one so that if I don't have my measurements perfect, I can just center it between these two, and it looks like it was supposed to be that way. Okay, so here we go. We'll get that piece on there. And I just really like, sometimes a white on white card is really nice. And so that's what we're going to have today for this particular card. I'm just letting it sit lightly until I get it spaced the way I want it. And there we go. So there's our 3 pieces. Then for this pieces that went on the card itself, I didn't use those. I'll put those aside. I used these 3 pieces. I'm going to put them on with dimensionals so that they will kind of pop up a little bit, makes them stand out, seeing as how it is white on white. And you might want some minis as well as regulars, dimensionals, just so that you don't have anything sticking out where you don't want it. And where you place the flowers, of course, is totally up to you. Get those out of my way. Hit my machine. And then it's just a matter of deciding where. And I did kind of center them from top to bottom. But you don't have to. You could place them differently. And we'll put this one over here. And you could add a pop of color, like with a really pretty colored ribbon, or something like that. You could make a brightly colored bow. I'm okay with a big one on this one, but I'm going to use smaller ones. Well, I'm going to have to cut that down. Let me see what I've got here. I'm down to just edges only on that, so I'm going to save that for later. Pull out a new piece here. And I'm going to put minis, dimensionals, on these leaves here. Get this. And if you do like my videos and you haven't subscribed, I ask you to consider doing that. And even if you don't subscribe, if you hit the thumbs up button and you like it, if you hit the thumbs up button, that helps me a lot with my algorithms and helps get me higher in the rankings so people can find me, which I would love to have happen. And so yeah, either subscribe or hit that thumbs up button. There's card number 1. And I really like it. I hope you do too. Now here's another quickie card for today. And that's going to be this one. Let's switch out the instructions and the measurements to the correct one. Get that for you. Got a few more steps to this, but not too much. Still a pretty quick card. This is using the Dainty Delight Designer Series paper. Actually, it's Dainty Flowers, excuse me. And there are the sheets that have ovals, and I cut out the ovals. Now, I started these, and for you because I ended up cutting these ovals 3 3/4 by 5, and you're just going to have to eyeball your piece when you're cutting them out of your piece, because let me get a piece and show you. Here's the ovals, and I just started by cutting 4 inches from the side. So I made this 4 inches wide, and then from there I trimmed it down. Okay, does that make sense? So I cut it 4 inches this way, 5.5 inches this way, and then, which messes up this one, I just let that go. But then I cut it down to the size, and I just worked with it to make sure I got it centered. I hope that makes sense. And I made this one with Starry Sky, and I cut this flower out of that Designer Series paper, out of a scrap that I had. And this is the 1/8 inch metallic ribbon that's available in all of the current 2001 to 2023 in colors. No, the 2002 to 2004 in colors, or however that works. Anyway, this is Starry Sky ribbon. No, this is Orchid Oasis ribbon. Excuse me, all to pieces. About 10 inches to make that bow. And so, yeah, I just cut that, put it on a piece of Starry Sky, put this on with dimensionals, made the sentiment piece out of a piece of basic white, and used the die from Stylish Shapes. And the happy birthday is from Go To Greetings. So here we go. This is going to be super simple. Probably have a less than 15-minute video here. Make it short and sweet. I'm changing the colors up. I'm making this card base polished pink. We will put this piece on there flat with Stampin' Seal. Super sticky stuff, works really great for card making. And then we're going to center it on the card front. And then this piece, this time what I did is I took the stamp from the Dainty Delight stamp set, and I colored it with markers, and I used Mossy Meadow and Polished Pink for the colors. I will suggest, here's tip number 4 for the day, and when you're coloring the stamp, start with your lightest color first. Then if you come back with the darker color, and you get a little bit mixed on your marker or whatever, it's not going to ruin the whole thing. And so I colored the pink parts first, and then I came back and colored the darker parts, and I stamped it and cut it out with a die, and this is what you end up with. Really pretty. I'm going to put that on with dimensionals, and here again you can use some large and some small. I'm going to put a large one right down in here in the center of that flower, and let's see, do I think that'll fit without showing? Yes, and I'll put one there, but I do want to support it just a little bit better, so I'm going to put a small one there. Get it to let go of me. Get the top peeled off. Those are peeled off. I think that's probably enough. And then I just centered it in this oval, like this. Just like that. Then I made my bow, and like I said, I just took 10 inches and made my bow. I'm going to put that on with just a glue dot. So I'll get my glue dots here, and I just take a glue dot and I kind of roll it up in my fingers so it's just a little ball, and put it right behind that knot of my bow. And I'm going to put that on here up like this. And then I've got my happy birthday that I stamped and cut out, which I told you about already. We'll put a couple of dimensionals on the back of that. I'm putting them out towards each end like this. Keep those uncovered so you can see those if you still need them. And I'm going to make those bow ends come down in the in between, and I'm putting the birthday there, and then those will kind of come out, so they're coming out from behind the sentiment, which I thought was kind of cute. So there are today's 2 cards. I hope you enjoyed today's videos. Again, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, share it if you would like to, and hit that thumbs up button for me, please. Thanks again. See you again soon.